Greetings to all the jurors and professors. Welcome to my thesis presentation. I, Rishi, will take you through the journey of my thesis project. The topic for the thesis is Warli Adivasi Haat. This project is proposed by the Maharashtra government through MTDC. MTDC is the Maharashtra Tourism Development Corporation, and they intend to project it as a major tourism project which will empower the indigenous tribal community. But surprisingly, not any stakeholder as representative from the tribal community is involved in the project committee, and I will discuss about this issue later in the presentation. These maps shows the precise geographic location of the Palghar district. The site is located in a village called Malore in the Palghar district. So to understand the geographic and socio-economic context of Palghar and tribals living there, I visited these 6 places which are situated all over the Palghar district, namely the city of Palghar, Khambale, Dahanu, Kolhar, Manor and Vikramgarh. I took the interviews of government officials, tribal peoples, NGOs and artists and asked questions related to the project, the culture of Warlis, socio-economic issues related to their community, expectations from the project, and this all the interviews has led to the foundation of my ethnographic study. To do the ethnographic study, I asked these 3 major questions repeatedly to all the officials, stakeholders, tribals, and people from NGOs residing in Palghar district. So the questions are: first question is what is their culture and what are the values and ethos associated with it? And second question is how is their culture and values associated with it are relevant in today's time and what is its significance? And the third question is how the project of Warli Hut can solve their social and economic issues and lift out of them. Apart from doing the on-field ethnographic study, I also studied the Tribal Peoples Planning Framework, which is a document published by the Government of Maharashtra. It comprises of social and economic assessment of the tribal population living in the Maharashtra region. It also helped me in redefining the idea of the project. So it says that tribals are collectively attached to their traditional customs and habitat. Hence, while developing the idea of the project, I had to consider the viewpoints, narratives, stories, their needs and necessities, and also involved representations from tribals as stakeholders, which the project development committee of the government didn't do. From the economic assessment, it can be concluded that around 90% of the tribal population's source of livelihood is either manual labor or farming, from which they derive income. This shows that tribals as a class are lesser privileged both socially and economically. Hence, this project must focus on the socio-economic issues of tribals and uplift them socio-economically. Now let's talk about the Wali tribal community. Wali is an indigenous tribal community living in the western region of Maharashtra. Let's know about their cultural heritage and values first. Wali art is a genius creation of Wali tribals. It has recently become very famous in today's time, but it had been very utilitarian and functional for the tribal peoples in the older times also, and served the purpose to cherish their communal values. Its main function is to depict the social status of a family and activities like marriage in the family, cultivation of new rice and birth of a child, etc. Tarpa dance is one of the main cultural activity of Warli community. Men and women both dance in a spiral form centered around a person who plays tarpa instrument. In this picture, a scene of festival in which tarpa dance is being played in the spiral form and a man in the center is playing the tarpa instrument is depicted. It symbolizes the value of equality in the society. Another most interesting thing of their culture is that they consider nature as their religion. Living in harmony with nature is one of their most important principles. Interestingly, the roots of their all cultural activities can be found from their practice of worship of nature. All the gods and goddesses of Warli community are derived from natural features. Now let's talk about the vernacular housing of the Adivasis. Every Warli Adivasi possesses the traditional knowledge of vernacular housing himself. So sole jurisdiction of building a house remains in the hands of Adivasi. This makes the tribals truly self-reliant. Talking about their construction methodology and building materials, Warli makes vernacular houses like wattle and daub construction using karbi, which is a natural grass, bamboo, cow dung, mud, timber, and all these materials are used, along with Mangalore clay tiles, which are used as a roofing material, and other natural fibers. They use a locally available timber wood, which are ain and kher. They use the mud cow dung in building their houses and for making canvases for drawing Warli art over it. These are the various typologies of Warli housing construction. So after documentation of tribal community and doing ethnographic study, the project brief comes down to the following points. First point is that their cultural heritage and values should be preserved. Also the people should learn from the cultural values of the tribal people and should espouse their cultural values. Hence it is needed to display the traditional heritage, cultural values and ethos of the Warli community. Since they are socially and economically less privileged society, it also need to generate employment avenues for the tribals and also boost tourism in the region. So I did the case study of basically Delhi Hat INA, Pitampura, Janakpuri and National Handicrafts Museum. Inferences from Delhi Hat INA are that it has provided lively entrance plaza which serves the public realm. There's a uniformity in the build structure is maintained through scale, spatial planning and material palette and construction details. Also indicate crafting of paving patterns is done to improve the walking experience of the visitors. Inferences from the Delhi Hat Pitampura are providing an open multipurpose hall surrounded by the shops. Inbuilt seating space are provided in the plazas. Street culture is inculcated and planned in such a way that there is a symmetry around the central axis of the art. Inferences from National Handicrafts Museum are that segregation of areas is done via strong axis and yet creating visual and physical connection. Also in the National Handicrafts Museum, a village complex is provided to display vernacular architecture character. So the inferences from the Delhi Hat Janakpuri are that the built mass is kept fluidic in nature and a very different architectural character is developed from other two Delhi Hats through eclectic mix of materials and juxtaposition. And the third one is that the cluster of cylindrical shop units look good in plan but does not perform in reality as it has created lots of negative spaces in the heart. Now talking about the surrounding context, the site is located on NH48 and it is only through this highway the tourist will access to the heart. Apart from the vast farmlands around the site, some hotels and industries are also located, which are quite less consequential to the design of the heart. Natural vegetation and features on the site will be preserved except the existing building which needs to be demolished. Talking about the topography of the site, it's an undulating site which is covered with shrubs, hedges, bushes and some rocky terrain. The site has a very gentle slope of around 3 to 4%. This feature of site can be used in creating level differences on site, creating very interesting urban design elements like steps and other kind of inbuilt seating. Now talking about the site analysis, the climate of Palghat is hot and humid and the maximum temperature reaches up to 40 degrees Celsius. So I need to employ local and breathable materials in design like using lime mortar in making brick wall and also using local timber. Also the views of the mountains should be exploited while making the design and massing of the heart should be done in such a way that winds which are coming from the west and northwest flow all over the site. So these two are the views to the mountain ranges from the site and these views can be exploited while designing the hut to provide interesting open public spaces which can harness the beauty of these views. This slide shows the views of the site depicting its natural topography, terrain, and vegetation. For this project, I have taken the inferences from the Development Control Regulation of MMRDA and National Building Code. So it comes under the land use classification of public and semi-public zone, and the maximum ground coverage possible is 35%, maximum FAR is 1, and setbacks from the boundary to be given are 6 meters, and the maximum height of the building possible in the site complex is 15 meters. So after doing all types of studies and analysis, I think in a larger context, the project should serve and incorporate the views, needs, and necessities of these three stakeholders, that is, government, tourists, and tribal people, in the priority order of first tribal people, second tourists, and third is the government. So for zoning purposes, I have divided the site into three major zones. First is welcome zone, which will welcome the tourists. Second is the interaction zone, where the tourists will get a chance to interact with the shopkeepers, vendors, and artists. And third is the Dell zone, where the tourists will get a chance to work with the artists, to take part in the workshops and make something, so that they will be able to espouse the values and cultural heritage of the tribal people. So the welcome zone basically will facilitate the needs, necessities, and views of administration and government. So facilities like admin offices, entrance plaza, ticketing, staff residence, and residence for guests and VIPs will come in this zone. And also the organization of cultural activities will also happen in this zone. In the interaction zone, it is designed to be in such a way that it would be serving the public realm and will promote the interaction of tourists with tribals. This zone would include spaces such as plazas, streets, art and craft shops, food courts, and multipurpose halls. And third zone, which is Dell zone, is to be conceptualized in such a way that tribal will have a little bit of ownership in this zone. It will include exhibition hall, heritage museum, art workshop, carpentry workshop, and village museum. Now let's talk about the design concept of the heart. So the design concept of the heart is defined as an urban fabric in which the built mass creates enclosures of open spaces which will serve the public realm and permeable enough to allow free movement and visual connection throughout the heart. In the design of heart, I have majorly focused on the design of public spaces in the heart. Also, I have done it as an advanced study topic. Now, for public space design, I had to study placemaking. For this, I took reference from the Street Life project by William H. White, who was a sociologist. He did the study over the public spaces of New York. He argued that placemaking is a sociological phenomena which supports all the economic and social activities in a public space. As an urban designer, one needs to design public spaces in a such a way that it facilitates the social and economic activities of that area. Also, I have taken references from my case studies, and the design elements which I have considered in my design are creating open public space through enclosure of built masses, creating level differences as per the contour side to create various urban design elements like steps, articulation of plaza, inbuilt informal seating spaces, and landscape. Also, I will be giving a rustic effect to the heart by providing street corridors along shops and food courts, also using traditional build form in the heart, providing the views of natural scenery and mountain from OAT, stage, and guest house. Now, talking about the site planning, the people will be welcomed at the entrance plaza, and the tourist, after purchasing tickets, can enter into the hut, while the guest will be accompanied to the guest houses in the welcome zone. Also, the staff will be available to serve the guests. The OAT and open stages are put up in the proximity to the guest house. The reason is that the guest can easily reach the OAT and stage court. Also, one gets spectacular views of mountains from OAT in northwest. In the interaction zone, the street culture is inculcated, and shop cluster encloses open public spaces and multi-purpose hall to serve the public realm. Since the site is undulating and has a slope, necessary level differences are created and connected through steps and ramps. All the plazas and courts are visually connected and permeable enough to allow free movement. In the east of the site there is food court which is connected to central stage and exhibition courts. The food court is surrounded by food stalls and shop clusters. Deep down south of the site is the Dell Zone, which comprises exhibition hall. One can reach the art workshop, carpentry workshop, and heritage museum through exhibition hall only. So this is a way of adding an extra added layer to the movement path of the people, which will enrich the experience of the visitors and let them delve more deep into the culture of Warli Adivasis. In southeast is the village museum, which depicts the traditional model of the Warli villages to the visitors. Also the parking spaces are provided at the entrance of the site and also adjacent to the village museum. In the area statement, I have divided all the built spaces into five major categories, which are basically admin and office, accommodation, commercial, exhibition and workshop, and parking. So admin and office space has a area of 427 square meter, and accommodation spaces are built in the area of 1224 square meters, and all the commercial built mass, which includes shops, food stalls, and other site services buildings, is built in an area of 3374 square meter. The exhibition and workshop building takes an area of 2500 square meter. The parking spaces are divided into two parts. One parking space is for the normal tourists and the other is for the staff people. So there are around total 80 car parking spaces available, 8 bus parking spaces and 2 loading bay truck parking spaces. The total built up area is 6175 square meters. Entrance to the site is from a 12-meter wide road which is connected to the highway. The sideways to the 12-meter wide road provides spaces for the parking of two-wheelers, buses, cars, etc. At 2 is the drop point, 7 is the sloping plaza which connects drop-off point to the entrance plaza where tickets can be bought. At 9, space for STV is provided. This plan layout shows the site plan annotated with the sections. So these sections I will be discussing in the upcoming slides along with the plans. Section AA is the sectional elevation of the front facade of the hut with sawtooth roofs of Mangalore tiles over the entrance plaza and admin block, situated just adjacent to the heavy and bulky mass of the guest house and dormitories block. Both the blocks contrast with each other in terms of their massing. This view shows the front of the Heart and entrance plaza. From the drop-off point, the visitors walk through sloping plaza which enhance the quality of walking and also provides the leisure space and waiting area. The plan of Central Court, which encloses public spaces, articulated into two levels. One is at 95.55 meters and other is at the level of 96 meters. Both are joined through steps and ramps. Also, the public spaces in this plan are dotted with inbuilt seating spaces around the planters. This improves the quality of public spaces. At the center is the multipurpose hall, which is open enough that informal activities will be taking place in it and vendors will be coming and showing off their products and art and craft work. It is built up of slanting I-shaped columns and the top roof is supported by the truss system. The street corridors are permeable enough and very much connected from the public spaces, so the circulation spaces between the multipurpose hall and street corridors complement the activity spaces. Also, the plaza becomes the great spectacle of public activities. Traditional built form of cable roofing is used with brick paving on the plaza, giving it a rustic effect. This view shows the entrance from the inside the heart, overlooking the views of mountains in the backdrop through the sawtooth shaped roof. This view depicts the typical public plaza articulated by creating level differences, providing seating spaces along the planters, surrounded by the built mass of shops along with street corridors. Various different types of activities will be taking place here in this plaza by the tourists. These site sections depicts the level differences which are created as per the site contours and how the build mass and enclosed open space is built along the natural topography, and also the section depicts the build form and the built masses and how they are and the structural elements used in them, like queuing post trusses are used for supporting the roofs of shops and food stalls. Also the multipurpose hall, which has the highest volume by the mass and quite open enough, is being supported by the slanted I-shaped columns and truss system. Here the details of street corridor is depicted. Proportions and scale of street corridors is kept to the human scale and it's quite visible from the sectional details and views of it. The detail of king post trusses is also depicted, which supports the roof structure of the entire complex. This depicts the view showing the voluminous open space provided the multipurpose halls, which is also in contrast with the built mass of the shops around it, and the view also depicts the structural detail of the hall. This view depicts the side view of the multipurpose hall, again showing its voluminous scale it has provided and the quantity of space within it and around it. This view provides view of shopping complex and public plazas around the multipurpose hall. The multipurpose hall creates a semi-enclosed space within it, providing a very enriched experience to the visitor. This plan depicts the planning of staff-occupied dormitories and also the open stage court surrounded by the built masses of the street shopping corridors, the guest houses and dormitories block, the food court plaza. Also, this plan shows an interesting pathway from stage to the platform, numbered as 5, which provides serene views of the mountains through the frames created by the vertical I-shaped columns, and then from platform 5 one can reach to OAT, which overlooks the mountains. Also the wind direction is favorable as it comes from the stage of OAT to its audience. Also the OAT is kept northwest facing deliberately to avoid direct sunlight which can fall upon the faces of the audiences. This shows L-shaped plan of the guest house block overlaid upon the dormitories block. Each guest house unit overlooks to the view of mountains, which provides a very enriched experience to the visitor and a view. This sectional view depicts the western sectional elevation of the site, depicting the massing of the blocks and the elevation of OAT. Also gable and pitched roofs of the various blocks are visible from this view, which are placed at different levels. This view depicts the dormitories and L-shaped guest house block, open performance states and pathway from stage to the platform depicting the clear view of the mountains. This view is taken from the platform overlooking the serene views of mountains, and one can go from here to the OAT and can overlook to the mountains. This view shows the design of OAT. Steps from both the sides are provided so it eases movement for going up on OAT and going down. Also this OAT is well merged with the topography, fills up the level difference of 3 meters by providing opportunities to perform cultural activities on it. The food court plan depicts the planning of food stalls and street shops enclosing a plaza which is articulated into levels and steps are provided which act as a seating spaces. Also round seating around plantings and trees are provided which gives shaded spaces for sitting. Also inbuilt seating spaces provided on the side and open spaces are left for the placement of movable chairs and tables. The food court is fully permeable and visually accessible from the central and stage court. The view depicts the aura of the food court and its planning. The first section, DD- depicts the connectivity of central court with the food court. It is quite clear that food court is fully permeable and visually accessible from the central court. And also the section depicts the level differences between the food court and central court and how both are connected through steps and ramps. Similarly, the section GG- depicts the visual and physical permeability between the food court and stage court. Also, it depicts the level differences and massing of the blocks contrast with each other. This is a very pleasing view of food court which creates vista. A rising view of steps provides a feeling of continuity and connects the food court to the stage court. The design elements which were used for the placemaking of this public space are articulation of plaza through level differences, providing steps seating spaces around planters, and inbuilt seating space. This shows the planning of exhibition, museum and workshop complex in the Dell zone, which can be accessed through Central Court Plaza through steps and ramps. Also, the entry to exhibition hall is through three glass doors attached to three semicircular curtain walls from the plaza, which houses street shopping corridors to enrich the quality of space. One can reach to art workshop, heritage museum and carpentry workshop through exhibition hall. Exhibition hall acts as an extra added layer which prepares the people that they are entering in a zone which will let them delve deep into the culture of Warli Adivasis. These side sections shows the relationship of Central Court to the exhibition plaza and then the connection of the exhibition hall to the art workshop and carpentry workshop and heritage museum. This zone is also built at the lowest levels. Exhibition complex is built at a level of 93.5 meters and art and carpentry workshop is built at a level of 92.9 meters. This shows the planning of art workshop and which is divided into two rooms which are connected from inside, and also a semi-open space is also provided in the workshop so that people can paint and draw while being surrounded by the nature. Also, the plan layout depicts the placement of tables and stools for drawing and painting purposes. This shows the planning of carpentry workshop. The wood cutting machine are placed near the storeroom so that wood can be taken from storeroom and can be cut easily. This it is taken to the jigsaw machine which creates design on wooden piece and then to the hole drilling machine. After this it is taken to do cutting for wooden joineries. Then it is finally taken to rubbing machine and then to polishing machine to complete the woodwork. Also an open space is provided for people to work and design over the woodwork. This shows the planning of village museum which depicts the traditional model of village of Warli community. The Warli houses are provided and the museum is planned in such a way that it will depict the traditional construction knowledge of the tribal and visitors can learn from it. This view shows the three tribal huts displaying the vernacular architecture of the Warli Adivasi community and providing a glimpse of Warli villages to an urban tourist. Since in the rainy season heavy rainfall occurs, hence temporary roofing, either it is tensile or synthetic roof, can be provided in rainy season along the major pedestrian pathways so that movement of people can't be hampered by the constant raining in the plaza. Temporary stalls shall be provided in peak season or on festivals to accommodate much more travelers to sell their art and craft work. The size of temporary stalls would be 2.4 meter into 1.5 meters. As shown here, the joinery of queen post truss. The wooden and timber posts are joined through a gusset plate of 37 mm. The purlins support the roof tiles and the rafters support the purlins. It shows the construction details of the footing. The wall rests upon a plane to protect it from seismic waves. The footing is made up of stone masonry using cement mortar of 1:6. It is the footing is 800 mm deep and 550 millimeter wide at upper level and 850 mm wide at lower levels. These are the references which I have taken in my thesis project. Thank you.